Good evening, Littleton, and welcome to Select Board meeting of September 20th, 2021. We have a pretty brief agenda tonight. We are going to be going immediately into executive session for about a half an hour. But we will go back into our open session at 6:30. So at this time, we're going to go into our executive session and entertain a motion to do so.
I move that the Select Board vote to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Clause 6. Consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, since an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the board, and to convene an open session thereafter.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Nordo, seconded by Mr. Glady. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. You did say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. So we are going to executive session now, folks. We should be back in here at 6:30 with our brief agenda tonight. Thank you. Welcome back, Town of Littleton. We just came out of executive session. It's about 20 minutes of 7 on September 20th. We are now going into our open session. I'd like to start out the meeting with getting into the pledge, and then after the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Us. Okay, our agenda tonight is as follows, a pretty brief one. We've got, do you have any mail to read tonight, Joe?
No.
Okay, good. Jumping past that. Host community agreement negotiations in vote for collective at 537 Great Road. We've got some discussion and information on the Nagog Hill Orchard. And then we've got some the potential of an insertion of a new article into the special town meeting relative to some conservation land on Foster Street. Special town meeting warrant update from Mr. Layden. And I believe that's all we have. So our anticipated adjournment was at 7:35. We'll try to see if we can stay with that, but it'll be thereabouts. In the interest of giving Selectwoman Napoli the rest of the night off for her birthday. That's
Thank
right.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate that.
A little shout out.
I will repeat myself for the first item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
See you later.
All right. Well, Joe will give you a text. Thanks, Matthew. All right, so we have Community Care Collective, Mr. David Gianetta. Gianetta, there's an R on there now. Mr. David Gianetta is here. I don't know if you want to come to the microphone, Mr. Gianetta. The HCA agreement was sent to Attorney Heap with Myers and Harrington. And to Mr. Knox and myself, we were the negotiators for the two select people that were asked to review it and negotiate. And with the guidance of Mr. Heap, we felt as though the HCA that is in our packets is appropriate for the town to take action on. And so I'm not to offer anything more than that. I was going to have Chris come in and.
No, I just would want to thank you for taking your time. I was obviously on vacation and took time away from the beach to go talk to you, and you filled me in all the way through, and I was satisfied with what we went through.
Great. Thank you for taking your time off of your vacation. I think it was a rainy day though, wasn't it?
No,
That was. Attorney Heap, do you want to give us just a quick overview, or?
Sure. Happy to. Can everybody hear me okay?
Hold on, Judy, we need to be able to get some sound coming from Chris in here. Try now. Can you
How's
do
that?
it? Whoa.
Yes.
Yes.
Guess it works. Just rather have you at the mic, David, just in case there are any questions.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. So thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick update on the agreement. The Board of Selectmen has already, as all of you know, I think the Board of Selectmen has already entered into a host community agreement with Community Care Collective for the property located at 537 Great Road to allow the operation of a retail establishment. This is a separate agreement that would allow a couple of other uses at the same property, and that would be the cultivation and the manufacturing of marijuana products at 537 Great Road. We thought it best to do this as a separate agreement that addressed those two new uses of the property, given that the existing retail host community agreement has already been in effect for some time. This, however, does track the terms of the existing retail HCA quite closely. Almost all of the terms are either similar or the same compared to the old existing retail HCA, with respect to obligation to pay taxes within town, obligations to hire local, obligations to collaborate with the police department regarding security, and to take into account any concerns that are ever expressed in community meetings or during the permitting process. So all of those are really very similar, if not more commonly exactly the same as the existing HCA. I think the main departure from the existing retail HCA comes with respect to the community impact fee that is associated with this agreement. If you'll recall, the retail HCA called for a payment of up to 3% of retail sales from the store, essentially. And this is a little bit different, given that we're talking about cultivation and manufacturing. What this agreement would call for is payment by collective to the town of 1% of the sales of marijuana grown or products manufactured on the site to third parties as tracked through a state database. So that, I think, is the main departure. But otherwise, this is very similar, if not, again, identical to the old agreement with most of the terms that are addressed. So that's just a quick summary, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Thanks, Chris. Good summary. It's Jeanette is going to use the metrics system that the state uses, the CCC uses to track retail sales, and that's where our payment would come from. That dictate what collective would contribute to the town. So if there are any questions, we have both Chris and Mr. Giannetti here. So I'd open it up to you, please.
Yep, I know we're at the end of this process, but for folks in TV land, this is the first thing, catching of it.
Yep.
Perhaps, David, if you can just explain what's actually going to happen, what location it's at, what's going to happen there, and how it's different from your other business.
Sure. So same location, it's co-located as the retail establishment, 537 Great Road. It's a phased approach. So we've proposed.
And again, 537 is like just located by.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is located in the Industrial A district in the industrial park, where Neshoba Air and Boiler Works is on the backside, second building in on the left. There's ample amount of parking to allow for both the retail and the cultivation. The two will not coincide. So there's security measures in place to keep the two separate from one another. It is a phased approach within the building. So we're currently occupying as the retail out of 20,600 square feet. We're occupying 4,250. So about a quarter of the building. So phase one will be the second quarter of the building, the rear left corner of the building, approximately 5,500 square feet. And then once that's built out and we start harvesting, we will then move on to phase two, which is then building out an additional approximately 6,500 square feet. So this phased approach will just allow us to kind of get our feet a little wet into the industry on the cultivation side. It'll help support our retail establishments. But it also, allow us to sell to third parties, which is really the main goal here. The part of our decision to change our name from Community Care Collective, a little wordy. We moved off of that. We went straight to collective. And the idea behind the word collective is that our goal is to have under one roof, in our retail establishments, all of the top quality suppliers supply within our retail stores. So when doing so, even though we are seeking a cultivation license, that's just to integrate some of the products into our menu. It's not to take over the whole menu. It's not our intention is to operate with only our own provided supply. So the town will still seek significant revenue from this through the 1% wholesale sales of all cultivated products out of 537 Great Road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
So certainly, Mr. Gianetto, so did you say you changed the name from Community Care Collective to Community Collective?
Collective.
Just Collective? So
It's
this,
a DBA. We're still legally Community Care Collective
Okay.
Inc. with the Secretary of State,
okay,
but then I filed a DBA in Littleton with the clerk
okay, perfect.
for
Gotcha.
collective. And I
Okay.
had to go to through the CCC for a name change, an official name change. So that process has been completed for some
Okay.
time.
Excellent, thank you.
And from a housekeeping standpoint, I think this is where you were going.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just looking at the
Any of
agreement.
the agreements that we have between us will just, there'll be some sort of amendment or something like that, I would assume.
Yes, yeah. Well, we can amend the name and just add, it'll still remain Community Care Collective, but just in parentheses, DBA
Yeah.
Collective.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
All of our advertising and marketing will be collective as well.
Okay, great.
Just make sure I turn, Chris, are you comfortable with that and give us that blessing on that?
That's fine with me. Yeah, as long as the the proper name of the corporation remains Community Care Collective Incorporated. I don't know that we need to amend the documents, but we could.
Okay.
I think that's as long as the signed agreement is with the incorporated entity. I think we're still in good shape.
Okay, good, thank you. Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you for yours and Mr. Knox's work on this.
absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. David came to us as he did before. Very easy to work with, so appreciate
Thank
your
you.
efforts as well.
Yep, thank you.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. All right, I'll move that the board vote to execute the host community agreement with Community Care Collective Inc. for the co-location of a non-retail marijuana establishment at 537 Great Road, Littleton, Massachusetts.
Second.
Motion made, Mr. Wavy, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Great.
Appreciate it.
And the board, I do have version for signature.
Excellent. Thanks,
A
Joe.
lot quicker than the first one, huh?
Sure was. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Good luck.
That would be great.
Yeah. Just while we have a little bit of a lull here, just, I got to do a little mea culpa. As we went into executive session, if anybody was watching, it's appropriate to do a roll call vote going into executive session. I did not, I just pulled the board. So just, again, some little mea culpa. Sorry about that. Any of the matters that were discussed or, sorry, gonna be before us on the next agenda items, so it's, I think we're okay there. You know, fess up. Thanks again, David. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thanks. There should be a banner hanging up at the Common.
Clearly, you didn't go that way.
Came the other way.
All right, thanks everybody.
Chris, thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good night. Did you wish Cindy happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Cindy.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Should have made him sing. All right, next up on our agenda is Nagog Hill Orchard. It's really an agenda item for board discussion. Appreciate there's a few members of the AgCom in the room.
Should we get Matthew back?
Building commissioner as well.
Okay,
Actually,
problem.
yeah. Thank you. Mr. Nordhaus had to chose to recuse himself for the last agenda item, so we just want to give him an opportunity to get back in the room for this agenda item. All right, so there's been some discussion about the orchard from this board, and Mr. Glavy and I have been the two kind of leads relative to trying to get us to the best place possible for this asset, for this town asset. Just to kind of summarize it to some degree before we go forward with any discussion or conversation, kind of like a state of the union type of thing, state of the orchard, just to bring people up to speed and hopefully assuage any concerns that people might have about the future of the orchard. The orchard was purchased by the town, and restrictions were put on it back in 99, 2000. I think it went to the town meeting, and then it was, the restrictions were put on in 2000. So about 21 years ago. It's been leased by Nagog Fruiters for that entire time. Last year, we went out to bid. We placed an RFP. We were not able to, we didn't receive any viable applicants to engage in a lease with. So we've been basically looking at what our options are as far as retaining and maintaining and hopefully putting the orchard in the best place possible to go forward. The fact that we did put restrictions on this property some 20, 21 years ago, 83 of the acres were put into an APR, which is an agricultural preservation restriction, which means that that land needs to remain in agricultural operation. It cannot be developed. Condos cannot be built on it. Residential development can't be operated on it. There are there's many restrictions, but that's kind of the crux of it. There's also for 24 of the acres are in conservation restriction, and I believe there's a conservation trust that holds that restriction, or
I don't know.
24 acres, the remainder of that from that transaction with the Morrisons from 21 years ago has a conservation restriction on it. So just wanted to assuage any of those concerns that folks may have had relative to the orchard. We're not going to be bulldozing it and developing any residences or commercial development or anything like that. So each of us have been engaged, and this has been a concern and a priority on varying levels for each of us over the past several years, but more so of late. And we've engaged with a number of local farmers, orchardists, and professionals to try to help us determine what our best steps forward are. So I just wanted to give the board an opportunity to kind of discuss where we're headed. I know that we do have an AgCom working group that has not necessarily met all that frequently over the last, I'll say several months, maybe a couple of years. But that might be an avenue that we could take to move forward so that we do have a very focused group that involves the agricultural community to help us to put the orchard in the best stead that we possibly can. Paul, you being
I'd just add that, we were up until recently in hopes that a successor organization to the previous one would be a successful option. And the clearer it becomes that that's not the case, the more we've had to focus on our own stewardship of the property. And I think we really appreciate that once it became clear that it's not our expertise at any level in any of us, other than just having had past experience or present experience with it, how quickly people come forward from the agriculture community to help us as we try to figure out steps forward. And I'm also mindful that we haven't resolved the relationship with the previous lessee, so we have to be careful about what we can say from a legal standpoint too.
Correct. Yes, sir. All right. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to add, offer, bring forward.
Other than, I think one of the objectives we should have is to make sure the Agricultural Commission is a vital part of any decisions that we go through, to utilize their expertise and their knowledge of that we obviously don't have because we're not in that area. So whatever we do decide to do, we want to make sure that they're part of it.
Absolutely, yeah. As far as moving forward, and initially, I'm just offering these up as ideas or suggestions. As much as each one of us wants to be part of the solution, I don't think we should be offering solutions at this point. We should, to Joe's point, be engaging with the AgCom. And initially, I was thinking we should set up like a working group with 2 members from our board, 2 members from the AgCom, and maybe a member at large, or maybe 3 members from the AgCom, or what have you, just to try to come up with ideas and make a suggestion back to us so that we can have the most educated and informed decision possible. We do, in thinking that through and having some discussions with some folks, we do have the AgCom. I think Cindy, you and Paul are sitting
On the
members
working
when
group,
last,
yeah.
the AgCom
Last
working
time we
group.
were active on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know whether we try to reinvigorate that, whether it's you and Paul still, or we kind of change it up. Joe, we had a conversation earlier today and you had expressed some interest in that as well. And
Well, I'm open to any suggestions.
yeah,
I think it speaks to the value of the orchard to the town that every member of the board has a vested interest and an attachment to it. And that, I mean, at this point, we're taking in information of options within the agricultural realm. We're doing status, viability of the existing operation, that sort of thing, as we're trying to deal with the folks who've been on the property for quite some time. So it's a delicate operation, but at this point, we should be inviting in input toward steps we need to be taking as we figure out, where we're going to go with it. Although, jumping to the final step, it shouldn't be an immediate thing.
no, absolutely. Yeah, that's why there's certainly, I don't know if any of you have any, well, as the chair of the AgCom, I don't know if you want to speak to it to some degree, or if you're open to us bringing
It'd be nice to see,
do you mind coming to the mic? Well, I'm sorry, it's dealing with
The new protocols dictated by the cable TV folks.
oh, that's good, oh, sorry.
Be nice to have the AgCom involved. I appreciate the interest in having that. And, certainly doing the working group, I think would add, a little bit of our expertise with that. We do have Brad Mitchell here tonight, who has a fair amount background from Mass Farm Bureau, from a state level, a little bit broader knowledge. You may want to ask to hear from him.
Yep.
And if there's anything else the AgCom can do to move it forward, we're happy to help.
Okay, great. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Brad, if you have anything, by all means, please come forward. Will Pickard, Chairman of AgCom, is the last person to speak. Sorry, I didn't ask you to give your name.
So Brad Mitchell, Wilderness Road. I worked with the Department of Agricultural Resources for 14 years. I've been working at Farm Bureau for the past 11. I've dealt with these issues a lot. My suggestion would be to have a small working group get together of the AgCom folks, a couple of people from the selectmen, and a member at large, public member, if we can find one, to really explore this and see what we get some background on where it is. Quite honestly, it's degraded in the past 20 years. We need to get somebody in from the UMass Tree Fruit Program or a similar organization coming and do an assessment, what needs to be done. We need to go through the restrictions. There's different provisions in the agricultural preservation program that need to be explored. And as I understand it, there's also some deeded restrictions on there that Morrison's put in there, which need to be considered. So my suggestion is get a work group, give them a month to 6 weeks to put together a set of recommendations. We will think out of the box. I do think we need a different approach than we've had in the past. Quite honestly, it has not worked, as we can tell now, and come back to this group with a set of recommendations and if necessary after that town meeting.
I don't disagree with anything Brad said, but what he did say spurred me to remember that actually the last time we were engaging with the AgCom, there were a lot of recommendations of the sort of things we should be putting into our RFP, and they found their way in there. So actually, the RFP that we had gone out to to the public with anticipated there being a lot of different options, or at least opened the door for it, but they weren't met by.
Well, I think this group needs to make some recommendations as well, not just options, but recommendations on how to move forward. I think we need to be fairly definitive. We've been going from year to year with a lease that quite honestly hasn't served the town well.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Scott, you have anything?
Just seeing what I can learn.
Thank you.
Well, while you're both here, thank you, Scott and Will, for coming out to the property last week and walking it with us too. Your input was invaluable at that point, and it was a good reminder that the value added you guys bring to the table.
Absolutely. So I guess, what's the pleasure of the board? Do we want
Yeah, I think it's the smartest move at this point is to reconvene the working group. I was actually looking back at old meeting minutes and notes when I previously was working with that group. And I'd like to continue that work, especially in light of, what's transpired this past month or so. And just because I think my working relationship with the AgCom group committee as well, I'd like to continue that if the board would agree to that.
I think all of us want to.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that it just makes sense the way that sorry, coming back.
No, that's not a good
No,
job.
that's all right. Just the way he laid out the structure of the group makes sense to me. So, yeah.
So I guess that's more of a question of do we do this apart from the AgCom working group and just kind of start up with something that is specific to recommendations just for the orchard,
Or reconvene the working group in
Correct.
general.
right?
We've got a working group, and this seems to be topic A for that group.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
Okay.
we'll learn lessons from that and then
Right.
other ag.
Yeah, we've already got the group in place. Just get the group back together.
So my suggestion would be in a new, smaller group that's a little bit more agile and a little bit more unbinded. I've worked on a lot of these, putting RFPs together, and essentially a small, very agile group that's focused works better than when you have 8 people on there and 2 of them can't make it because of whatever reason. I would suggest a smaller group than we've had working on them in the past.
So,
Well, I think that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
but I think Conscom had a couple of seats. So I was thinking it was 3 members of AgCom, 2 members of
Select board.
Select Board, and two members of
Conscom.
Conscom. So there's 7. Were there 8? Was there another member?
No, there was 7
There was
because
7.
it was an odd number.
It's a large group though.
I've chaired those groups before and you seldom have even a quorum.
So what we're talking about right now is basically keeping the 2 members of the select board. So if AgCom currently has 3 members on the working group, they would have to narrow that down to 2. And then we're not talking about including Conscom.
So it's really a subcommittee of the working group. Right?
Yeah, it's a subcommittee of the working group and then a citizen at large.
And then you have 5 members. right?
That's where we have 5.
Who's on the working group?
Paul and myself.
Cindy, and I don't know, Will, who was the representative from your group in the last town?
Myself, Brad,
No, I'm not on that.
you are not on the work.
No.
I have on the website, I don't know if this is accurate, Will, Jim, and Andrew Samarco were also.
Well, those are the CONSCOM members.
Is Andrew an AgCom member as well as CONSCOM? He's on just a cemetery.
Andrew's on everything.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to nail down who our members are, but the important thing is that the group needs to move, to get together. And I think that maybe we just have almost like a retreat or a summit where, I mean, I've gathered a lot of notes and a lot of information over the past couple of weeks. And I'd like to disseminate that to whoever that group is, whether it's as a presenter at one of the
Like a
meetings or something like
debriefing,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, just to get all that all the contacts as well as the context of those meetings out to that group, just so that we can, I don't know, more information, the better.
Right, so I think what we need to do is follow up with the town clerk, find out exactly who currently are the members of the AgCom working group. And just see what process to go forward with respect to reconvening that group, because it's been dormant for a while.
And if we're going to appoint a new committee, if that's what we have to do, or reconfigure that one, we need to agenda that and put it on for our next Monday
Yeah,
night's
so-
meeting. And other than I don't think we can, it wasn't on our agenda. to do that, so we-
Specifically, just a discussion, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do that. Let's do,
And we might want to put out the word that we're likely anticipating a citizen at large, a need for a citizen at large position, which I think is a good idea.
Either that or we take 3 members from AgCom and 2 members of the select board.
Well, whatever.
Just to have fun.
They seem to do it historically very well.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so want to do it that way? We'll follow up with Diane, find out exactly what we
Who
need
the
to
sitting
do.
members are of the working group.
Yeah.
So
And even if we exist, we probably need to be sworn in, because I'm sure I wasn't sworn in for that this
Yeah,
year.
right. I mean, that was so long ago, and then we'll agenda this for the next meeting.
Which is next Monday.
I would suggest that the fact that you don't remember who's on it might weigh towards creating a new group.
Well, we remember who's on it, but we're just looking, referring to the town's website just to see exactly. Because sometimes people will leave a group and it doesn't, that information doesn't get reported to the town clerk. So oftentimes it's a little gray area about exactly what we're seeing on the website and what exactly is true. So we just need to confirm with Diane, because she is the person that has, she has all the information on it.
That working group did include Brad, 'cause I would think, I don't want to speak for the AgCom, but I mean, I'd like to.
there's value in having Brad there. Yeah, I agree. Who's the appointing authority for the AgCom working group? Or was it just 2 members of the select board? We decided those 2 are. 3 members of AgCom, they decided who those 3 are. And 2 members of CONSCOM.
I mean, that's how it's typically done. I'd have to look back and
It's a
see
working
how
group, but
they
it's
are.
not an appointed.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
So I think that if we can work towards figuring out who's going to represent each of those boards and try to reconvene as soon as possible. In the meantime, there's no reason for us not to be able to have conversations to keep moving the ball.
okay.
The last thing we should be hoping to accomplish by reconvening a group or forming a new version of it is preclude other people's input in it. At this point, we should.
Right. So we'll
Welcome.
agenda this for the next meeting
Yes,
officially.
Yes.
Okay.
with the goal of coming into
Yes.
that a
Coming out of it
specific,
with a group.
right, and going into it with a proposal so that we can have it for consideration.
Yes.
Paul, are you still interested in being on that
Oh,
working group?
very much so. I mean, I have a lot of hope for the RFP goals that we identified, and I think they're pretty similar to what Brad's been talking about. I think, but the reality is we didn't get return applicants for them. I think in large part, probably because people in the AgCom understood that a succession was likely, and so therefore didn't put any effort into that. But anyway, for having.
Brad.
Yeah, well, the language in there there was a lot of back and forth when that information was acquired, which goes back to the summer before last, but it made its way into the document we had this past winter. And a lot of those were direct suggestions from the AgCom.
All right.
But I would, yes, I'm interested.
So regardless of the membership. I think I want to make sure that this board has a good chance to have input on the final, whatever the final thing is. Because we all feel strongly about this and want to make
Absolutely.
sure that it's.
Oh, yeah, so
That's an advisory committee. This is the board that's.
Chair custody controls here.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that like what we get back isn't just a referendum on an RFP that's a done deal, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
No, I think to Brad's point, I think he said it well when he said, going to come back with recommendations, but they're going to think outside the box. Is this, it's not boilerplate. We've always done it this way, so we're always going to do it this way. They're going to come up with thoughts and ideas based upon all the input that each of us have collected from different folks that we've spoken with, but also working with town council and getting some answers to some questions relative to what can be done under the existing APR, what can be done under the conservation restriction, whatever restrictions are on there, to be able to figure out what is the best path forward for this beautiful asset.
Provide a recommendation.
Correct. But ultimately, it does come
Yeah,
back here
okay.
and we've got lots of input. And I think that on the short term, after that group does meet, it would be good to have us cycling them through more than we do a typical update from any other committee or
Right.
group, maybe, because it is pretty time sensitive because the orchard doesn't wait.
Right.
So would this group be 5 people? I'm trying to make sure it's not.
So the AgCom working group currently consists of 7 people.
Right.
Right now, we're looking at the potential of just reinvigorating that group, which is three AgCom members, 2 select board members, and 2 ConsCom members.
Just my concern about.
Or creating a 5-member.
Or creating a 5-member subcommittee of that working group.
Yeah, my feeling is keep it 5, that way we don't get into the large.
More nimble, again, to
Yeah.
Brad's point, yeah.
That's fine, but I think we need to see something specific in writing before us next week so that we can.
Yeah, and then we can, we can tighten up that charge. And frankly, it puts a little bit, gives me that week to maybe I can put together some sort of executive summary based on the stuff that I have with you and I having been the kind of the
We can lean on council too, who.
get some of those answers, yeah.
Who's been involved in the past couple of years.
And that summary, actually, I will commit to the board. I'll get that summary just so you all have it. And
Yep.
I'll share with Will as well, so you can share whatever, any actions I've taken to this point. So the AgCom knows these are the orchards that Chuck's met with, and these people have walked the property and so forth and so on. So, but I'll commit to getting that out there to you guys as well as to our board. Okay, I do very much appreciate you guys being here. I do hope that, I want the input from you guys to help steer us and guide us. And hopefully we can get to a place where we're having that dialogue and we can make the best decision for the town for this asset. Okay. I think that's it for Nagog. You guys have anything to add before we close out the subject? Thank you. We do have consideration of a new special town meeting article. You want to take a lead on this, or you want me to? 'Cause you brought it to me.
Right. We had a request, I had a request, it could have come in anywhere, but it came in to me from our former colleague Chase, who's now and once again on the ConsCom, that they, the Conservation Commission, were looking to transfer, which we've done in the past in various times, a couple of, was it a 4.62 acre parcel, which is the Herget property, is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
We had the town that acquired it, was that a tax title?
It was,
Taking-
yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
2017. maybe?
So it long and short of it, it abuts the town forest and with some of the trail. Thank you. The town, the trail through the town forest, some of the new trails that have been going through there, the ConsCom would get benefit from owning that property so that they could have the trails go through it and increase access to the town forest. So with knowing that we hadn't had our deadlines come up yet, I just told Chase, I said, that doesn't sound too complicated. Maybe we can get that on for this warrant. So there it is. That's
There it
in a
is.
nutshell.
So I will move that the board vote to reopen. No?
Yeah, just, definitely. I
Oh,
just
sorry.
want to make sure there's no questions or discussion.
My only question, exactly where is this property?
So,
We have that on
on
the
Foster, there is a map, Joe, if you pop
Was it
that up
just
there. Do you remember
There it is, right?
about 4 years ago?
That it?
Yeah, I mean, this is it right here,
Where's Balsam, Joe?
down here. This land down here
That's
is then
Durkee.
part of the K and
Yes.
Durkee Park
Right.
properties. So
I know which, with this has been it before. I know.
Remember it came up and there was a lot of wetland and they were gonna pay the back taxes and in lieu of taxes, we ended up acquiring the land.
Yeah.
I believe that's how it went down. We
Right,
went to town
right.
meeting and so we hold care, custody, control of it right now. So,
Expand that again, Joe. It's,
I can also, if you'd like, I can pull this up on GIS so we can see a better view than just this image capture.
yeah, it's granulated.
it's
Yeah.
a curious public to see it too.
Yeah, what, do you mind doing that, Joe?
No.
So we're
Yeah.
transferring ownership to Conscom
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
because
it's contiguous with other conservation land. It helps the, the golden necklace that they're trying the Brandon's hard work at the forest and the connection out to the Durkee neighborhood and down to the train. It just, it's land that's sitting idle. You know, not doing anything with it. So,
And we never intended to.
correct.
Right.
Correct. And I don't believe it's anything that we could potentially do anything with from a development standpoint. That there's, I don't know that it would perk.
that's
Right.
fine. I was curious whether there was some other legal reason that we were handing it over. But
I think it just looked like
it was adjacent. and-
it made a connection
Yeah,
that,
I suppose technically they could just ask us permission to put a trail through it, but while you're doing that,
Yeah,
why not
sure.
just
Yeah.
transfer
Okay,
ownership?
that's fine.
yeah. Thanks, Joe. It's bringing it up now.
Is it those two long skinny ones?
Yeah, so it's
That one and
this one right here and then this one right next to it. So it borders, town land over here. It also allows for the connect.
Up there.
Exactly. It connects some of the trails that were built over here. And then
That
this is a
strip.
parcel right here that was acquired as part of the open space for Durkee and K. That happened last special town meeting.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it just finishes that connection.
So, and actually, let me just zoom for a quick second. One of the things that the board had sort of questioned back when we had accepted K, and then we still have to resolve this as far as purchase, signing over that deed. There's a question about this, remember this 10-foot strip?
Yep.
How we were going to
Yes.
maintain that. We actually, because then we have that land adjacent to it, we could actually have better trails, connections through there.
I think that is the
Not have to
impetus.
worry about how we worry about that little strip.
Yeah. Cool.
I think that is where I think that was the impetus for,
You know, I think we've all done a wonderful job of guessing at big chunks of this, but while we put this on the warrant, maybe we should also invite the Conscom in to make a little presentation to us about it.
sure, absolutely, yeah. Good.
I do know that they're scheduled to meet next week. So it'll just be a logistic issue as far as trying to
Maybe we
get.
can rob Chase for
Yeah,
5 minutes.
we've done that
to
kind
get
of thing
us this, yeah.
before. At least we know they're gonna be in the building. It won't be too
Right,
tough to,
yeah.
no?
Any other questions, discussion?
I move that the board vote to reopen the special town meeting warrant.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Millhouse, seconded by Mr. Knox to reopen the town warrant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Any further discussion about placing this on the warrant? Hearing no discussion.
All right, to see if the town will vote pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15A, to transfer the care, custody, management, and control of 204 Foster Street, an approximately 4.62 acre parcel shown as Assessor's Map Parcel R08-9-2, and 206 Foster Street, an approximately 14.45 acre parcel shown as Assessor's Map Parcel R08-9-3, from the Select Board to the Conservation Commission for open space and passive recreation purposes, including the construction of a parking lot to support those purposes or to take any other action related thereto.
Second.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Mr. Knox. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Great, thank you. And there's no other discussion. We'll move to close the warrant again.
I move that the board vote to close the special town meeting warrant.
Moved and seconded again by Mr. Knox. All those in favor of closing the warrant signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. It's unanimous. All right, Joe, you have any other updates for us for special town meeting?
Sure. The next thing is just part B under special town meeting, so that we can also make sure that we have the order of articles. I've reviewed prior to Anthony going away on vacation, sort of like what would work from a strategic standpoint for ordering of the articles, and in your board's packet was proposed numbering. So that we'd be looking at the left-hand column as what the order of the articles, so that we at least are doing a little bit better, grouping some of the financial articles, and then some of the articles that at least still have more work, namely the road acceptance and the home petition. There's still more work that needs to be done. We put those towards the end, so it didn't distract from some of the articles above.
Looks good to me.
It's fine.
It looks like Article 10 is the one we just.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
So when I do this motion, do I need to read the?
No.
Okay. Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, we are.
I move that the board vote to set the article order for the special town meeting warrant as proposed.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Nordhaus, seconded by Mr. Glavy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Anything else, Joe?
No, I just had update in case there was any need. We just had a meeting last week, so I think
Put it in. Yeah, we got it. Yep.
so and just prior to adjournment, just a reminder for the board, upcoming meetings September 27th, October 4th, and October 18th.
Appreciate that. Excellent. All right.
Say that again.
Those are our upcoming meetings.
27th. 4th. Okay, great. Thank you.
You should be okay after the Patriots beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by the 4th.
I don't get too excited about that stuff.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Mr. Glavy. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much, folks. We're back here again next Monday.